The replay on Wednesday night, the lads were looking forward to it because we thought we could win. And if we'd have won, we'd have got a live game on the following or the next round of the Cup on Sunday against Everton down at Goldstone. We felt that Liverpool weren't playing to their potential. They were going through a little stage where they weren't playing very well, and we thought we'd do well. On the night of the game, they brought McMahon back, and I think he made the difference over the two games at home and away. He scored, I think, early doors in the first 10 minutes, and after that we was up against it a little bit, but we called our way back to 1-1 after full time. Had a little escape here and there. I think McMahon hit the inside of the post and went across the goal, but we survived and went into extra time. And I think 5 minutes into the first half extra time, John Burns scored, make it 2-1, and it was still 2-1 at half time in extra time. And I thought here the worst we could do is draw. It's 15 minutes to go, we're 2-1 up. They might get a goal, but the worst we could do is draw and we'll have a replay. But lo and behold, somehow, which was very disappointing for us to let in 2 goals in the last 15 minutes, we lost 3-2, and that was our end of our cup run that year.
A disappointing end, but a great game. 14,440 people going home with mixed emotions, the Brighton faithful thinking of what just might have been. Now, could manager Barry Lloyd lift the team and maintain the challenge for a promotion playoff place? February began with an away trip to Charlton, followed by 2 home games against First Division high flyers Crystal Palace in that Zenith Data Systems Cup and lowly Leicester City in the league. The month's programme being completed with away games at Plymouth and Newcastle United. A good away win at Charlton saw Albion climb to 6th in the table with 43 points. Extra time was again needed before Crystal Palace ended Albion's interest in the Zenith Data Systems Cup. Undeterred, the team maintained their recent form with a fine victory over Leicester, Small collecting his 19th goal of the season, before Plymouth gained revenge for their earlier defeats with a 2-0 home win. A goalless draw at Newcastle consolidated Albion's 6th place position in the table on 47 points. Oldham came to the Goldstone at the beginning of March, followed by difficult away trips to promotion rivals Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday. Then it was back to the south coast, where first Blackburn Rovers and then West Bromwich Albion were the opponents, before Albion ended the month with further away trips to Swindon Town and Bristol Rovers. A poor start to the month with 2 defeats, 2-1 at home to Oldham and 3-0 away at Millwall, saw Albion drop to 9th in the table before a very creditable 1-1 draw at Sheffield Wednesday began the start of another 5-game unbeaten run, as Albion notched up 4 straight victories, including 2 consecutive 3-1 away wins at Swindon and Bristol Rovers. With 10 games left to play, Albion were now 4th. April, a vital month in the season, when 8 games were to be played. Port Vale at home, followed by Leicester City away, then West Ham and Notts County at home before the local derby with neighbours Portsmouth at Fratton Park. Finally, Oxford and Bristol City would visit the Goldstone Ground before April's fixtures would be concluded with a trip to bottom club Hull.
Big week on it.
A disappointing month saw Albion collect only 2 wins, extraordinarily against league leaders West Ham and bottom club Hull, both by the narrowest of margins, 1-0. Away defeats at Leicester, 3-0, and Portsmouth 1-0, and home defeats at the hands of Port Vale 2-1 and Oxford 3-0, with a goalless draw at home against Notts County, saw Albion drop back to 6th in the table, still in a playoff place with 2 games left to play. The 2 games left were away to promotion rivals Middlesbrough, then the final league game of the season at home to Ipswich Town. April's form suggested it was not going to be easy. Could Albion hold on to that playoff place? while a 2-0 defeat at Middlesbrough saw Albion in 7th place, the last of the playoff positions with 1 game left. An amazing game against Ipswich and a last-minute cracker from skipper Dean Wilkins confirming Albion's playoff position.
Yeah, the situation at the time, we were 1-1 in the game. Perry had saved the penalty, and there was a minute left. John Byrne went through on a long ball from John Crumpling, got brought down, and I think there must have been a 2-minute break before I actually took the free kick. You know, John was having treatment. So I was standing on the ball with Clive Walker, Robert Codner. We were just chatting away, and I sort of said to Clive, "What do you think?" So he didn't give me a lot of help. So I thought to myself, I thought of giving it to Robert because it was on the left-hand side of the pitch, and I thought it'd be better suited for a right-footed player. So that went through my mind, and then I just said to myself, "No, I'm gonna hit it." You know, the rest is history, really. I mean, it's probably the most important free kick I've ever scored. Well, obviously it is. But you know, it was just the time that I had to think about it. I think that made it even better personally for me. And you know, it sent us into the playoffs.
Millwall awaited Albion over 2 legs. The winners would go on to Wembley for the playoff final against either Notts County or Middlesbrough. In the 2 previous league games, however, Albion had not only failed to beat Millwall, they'd also failed to score against them. That, however, was history.
We played down in the first game in the playoffs, and the manager reverted to the 5 at the back, which we struggled the first 20 minutes really because we'd never played it. But once we sort of got over the early stage, we'd done quite well, and we conceded a goal in the first 20 minutes. But once we got that back, it was 1-1 the second half, and we come out and I thought we was going to do well. And in the first 20 minutes, we scored 3 goals, which was great.
With a 3-goal advantage, the second leg, on paper, may have seemed a simple formality, but not to the Brighton fans, their manager, or the players. Despite being under constant pressure, the character of the side produced a great result. 19-year-old substitute John Robinson coming on and scoring his first ever goal for the club. Next stop would be Wembley and Neil Warnock's Notts County. The team was confident.
We knew that if we scored, it would be such an uphill task for them. You know, and once we got it, we were just so determined to keep hold of it that we just pulled through in the end.
Coming to the Dell was a tremendous experience, and it was never going to be easy. But to come away with a result like this was great.
Sunday, May the 26th, and the climax to that hard season. Victory would see Brighton back in the First Division. More than 30,000 Albion fans were there in anticipation. A disappointing defeat on a day when everyone's hopes and expectations were so high meant that Notts County could look forward to First Division football while Albion prepare themselves for another season in Division 2, a season which the players believe will be more successful than season 90-91, maybe this time without the need for the playoffs.
Yeah, biggest disappointment I've ever had. You know, we worked so hard to get there. I think everybody expected us to win after beating Millwall. Well, certainly we thought we'd win, but it was just one of those games where we had all the game. They scored against a run of play, and then there were situations in the second half we hit the bar again. Little things that didn't drop down to us in the penalty area, and you know, as the game went on, you just got the feeling that it just wasn't going to be our day.
At the end of the day, we got so near to getting in the First Division. We lost. I think on the day they deserved the win. We didn't. Now we look forward to next season, and hopefully we won't need the playoffs to go up.
Yeah, the fans were great. I think there was 34,000 there. So it's that next season they can get down here and support us, because I think we've got a great chance of getting into the First Division without the playoffs.
Finally, let's hear from the manager himself. It had, after all, been a far better season for Brighton and Hove Albion Football Club than most people had anticipated.
Yeah, in many ways, I think probably this season's been as interesting and as exciting as any season the club have had for a good number of years. The key to it, obviously, were my early season signings: Michael Small, John Byrne, Clive Walker. Added to the quality of the players we had at the club already, made the squad a lot stronger. And there's always a big question mark when you bring new players in early part of the season, but they tended to gel both on the field and off the field extremely quickly. And we got off to a good start, which was always necessary for any club. And our run through, right through the months of October, November, December were very encouraging. I suppose if there was a turning point in the season when we felt that most certainly this could be a season for us to do better things than we've done in the past, it was when we were drawn against Liverpool and went to Anfield. And we went to Anfield not totally full of confidence, because we know what happens to bigger clubs than ourselves there. But the way the lads acquit themselves at Anfield that particular day, we didn't survive the replay, as the record books tell us. But once again, we gave Liverpool a run for their money out here at the Goldstone. And I think the feeling in the camp then was that we could certainly make the playoffs. And perhaps if we'd gained a wee bit more consistency, we might even pinch third spot in the league. Didn't happen for us that way. That was because the latter part of our season, the last month or so of our season, we tailed off. I think we won only 2 games out of 9. And but nothing could be probably more exciting than the final day of the season here, when it was left to Dean Wilkins to knock in one hell of a tremendous free kick with a minute to go to send us into the playoffs. That was a new experience for us. And at that stage, because we'd had maybe an uneasy spell, I'd had a Romanian boy here I brought in late February, Stefan Jovan, a lot of European experience. And I took a little bit of a gamble, and I played him in the 2 playoff games against Millwall. And it worked for us, and we gained our spark. And they were 2 tremendous fixtures from our point of view and from our supporters' point of view. The big disappointment, and it was a big disappointment, was the Wembley fixture. because there's no bigger place to play, but there's no bigger place to lose, because the world and his wife's watching. And but it gives us great heart, and I know the supporters enjoyed it. The fact that we took 31,000 people to Wembley on that Sunday left us a little bit in awe when you consider our average gates for the season were under 9,000. So that gives you a bit of hope, but it also gives you a question of why haven't they turned up for the early part of the season when we'd showed so much promise and scored so many goals. Our only hope can be that in the season that's ahead of us, that those same supporters will gain confidence in ourselves as a club once again. It's always difficult, I think, when a club such as this goes into the First Division, as it did in the late 70s, and stays in there for 4 seasons or so, and then comes out. There is a tendency to be a lack of confidence within the club if they don't bounce back very, very quickly. And this certainly happened here. But hopefully, with our performances and the style in which we did it last season, because that's important to us. We want to play football. We want to entertain, because that's what the game's all about. And we're hoping that message is now getting through to a number of people in the area. And we're hoping, certainly our season ticket sales have been extremely encouraging. And we hope that we can start off brightly in the new season. And if we do so, I'm quite sure that a percentage of those people who came up to Wembley on that particular Sunday, it's a result that will live with us forever, of course. One way or the other, Wembley results always do. But hopefully they'll remember the good points of the day. And maybe, yes, encourage them to come on a more regular basis. And if we can perform properly on the pitch and score the kind of goals we have done at home this season, then, you know, that's going to be a real bonus. Not as big as bonus possibly as going into the First Division as we'd hoped, but perhaps that'll help us return to the First Division in the new season.